Hey guys, this video may be way stupid and I may end up taking it down. Also too, I don't like to spread a lot of fear, but I just want to make this really quick video because pertaining to the supposed and possibly predicted, although hopefully not going to be true, November 3rd Seattle event, I noticed some very sort of, well, stunning, I guess stunning is not really the word, a little bit of a creepy coincidence pertaining to my one Seattle Mandela effect. And I just thought I would get into that with you, and hopefully I can just take this video down after November 3rd and nothing will have happened. That said, the other day my subscriber Dom, yes, I only have one subscriber, his name is Dom, and he registers as 3,000 people on YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. Dom is like one of my oldest subscribers. He sent me some pointers regarding videos that I should watch pertaining to something possibly happening on November 3rd. The first video that I watched, I really wasn't that convinced. It was one of the shorter Mitt Willie, I think that's the name of the channel, his videos, and he only showed two examples or two coincidences that I thought were the least bit striking. The second one, not so much, where it was just kind of the Simpsons episode. It was a football game, and it showed the 11 and the 3, or actually it wasn't even the 11, it was like the 3. But then Tim Truth did a slightly more in-depth video, and he showed some more detailed things and images from this film called Chaos. The sniper with a gun in the movie Chaos, and he also mentioned the phrase order out of chaos, and so he thought that was kind of a telling title. But the sniper with a gun next to a structure that looked sort of like the Seattle Space Needle, subsequently and immediately followed by a guy looking down his watch showing 11:03, and then an explosion next to a building with it says American Global Bank, it looks like, although the lettering looks a lot like Starbucks, next to a mural, or a graffiti type mural, of the Seattle Space Needle. Well, it looks exactly like it anyway. So this got me thinking about my Fraser Crane Space Needle video, and I feel like I'm one of the few people who obsesses over this whole Fraser Crane Space Needle, the moving Space Needle thing. But it is still really resting to me. As a matter of fact, it's one of the Mandela effects I am 100% certain about. That and the rings around Jupiter, how they used to be. Because there were always two rings and the biggest planets in the center of the solar system since 1977. They were always the two big bad boys. They were always depicted as such, and they were always Jupiter and Saturn. Anyway, that said, the Space Needle, as I remember, was always all the way over here. And even here you see it looks like a phantom, almost whited out Space Needle. This was the picture that was at the top of the article that I referenced when I looked up Fraser Crane's apartment. And as you can see, the Space Needle is way far off in the distance. The city is way far off in the distance, almost whited out. Of course, I remember when I was a kid, not when I was a kid, but I was kind of a kid. I was in my 20s. Back when I was in my 20s, I remember seeing buildings off in the distance. And as you can see, there are some buildings next to the Space Needle depicted. And that is always exactly the way I remember that Space Needle. So I did a video about it, and in so doing this video, I looked for evidence online. This picture, again, being my prime source of evidence and the only one in existence, with the phantom image of the Space Needle. This picture was also at the top of the one famed article I used in these videos. And this was the article that I used inside Fraser Crane's Plush Seattle Digs. So I looked it up again today, published on 10/21/2014. The only thing significant about that is the 20 and 21, which adds up to a 3 in numerology, but nothing, I was kind of checking the date because I was curious as to when it had been published. But I scroll down. There are no pictures. There are no more pictures to be found in this article. Like, they're just all wiped out. Now, of course, the pictures are still online, but it's just weird. It's like, why would all the pictures go away? Not only that, I noticed some interesting language in the article. Luxurious 2-bedroom, 2-bath spread with killer views of the Space Needle. So he says that. And then he says, from the balcony, there's an unobstructed view of the Space Needle. There's an unobstructed view. That's so weird because the first time I read that, I read obstructed view. Unobstructed, but it's not. It is totally obstructed. Because if you look, like there's this other article here, and the Space Needle is out there, but it's all the way over here. It's much closer, and you can't even see the UFO top. Now, in the world that I grew up in, we had this thing called economy and exposition. In other words, a sitcom is self-contained. It's only 23 minutes, and that's when you take out the commercials. So you have to know automatically where you are, when you are, what you are, bam. And a landmark can totally convey that. In other words, like the Eiffel Tower out of a Paris window, out of a Parisian window. But as you can see, the Space Needle, aside from this picture, that's the same picture here, the Space Needle is not outside the window, although that one's not a good example. Let's see. See this picture. See, now that Space Needle is totally close up, but as you can see, it's totally much closer to the actual chairs. And again, whenever I watch the sitcom, oh no, here's the good picture. This is where it is. It's all the way over past the statues, right here. Now, the only reason you can see the UFO top is because of the angle of the camera, and this part of the top of the window isn't obscured, but usually you can only just see the legs. You can't see anything else. Like, this is usually all you can see, just these legs right here. So, and again, you can see it's much closer. The city's much closer. There's much more city, and it's just only the legs. It's like, how are you supposed to deduce that that's the Space Needle just by looking at the legs? And here again, you can see the legs, but the Space Needle is supposed to be all the way over here, and the city is not supposed to be so close. And here's another picture of Fraser looking out towards the leftmost side of the screen, and there's no Space Needle, and the buildings are so close. That said, the pictures have been wiped out from my primo piece of evidence that I used to delineate this Mandela effect. And it could be a total computer glitch, it could be a total coincidence, but I just think it's weird that I'm looking it up, and on the eve of November 3rd, it's all gone, as if it's been wiped out. But then again, the Space Needle has been obscured from Fraser Crane's apartment, which is an odd enough metaphor in and of itself. The fact that it says a killer view up here, I mean, I know it's a phrase, but it's just weird, you know, it's jumping out at me now because I know what the speculation is for tomorrow, which hopefully will not be real. And then, let's see, he said one more thing. And then it said, there's no such thing as a bad bedroom since it gets its own sick view. Eddie knows what's up. Eddie knows what's up. Who is Eddie, and why would he know what's up? If Eddie means anything to you, that's fine. And then I scrolled down just to see if any of the other articles have no pictures. And what I found was that they did. And the next article that I found, this probably has nothing to do with anything, but what I thought was really interesting is it says, Apples for All Mankind is a feel-good astronaut drama of the season. And when I first read it, I thought the title was Apples for All Mankind, as if they were giving us as people apples, like we were going to be fallen even further from grace, and we get more clothes. That's what I always thought. It's like, hey, if the Bible were true, if it were really literally true, then every time I needed a new wardrobe, I could just eat an apple, yo. I'm kidding. Anyway, so I just thought that was really weird. Apples for All Mankind is a feel-good astronaut drama of the season, but it's actually Apples. That's the company, I guess, who makes the TV show, and For All Mankind is the name of the TV show. And what this TV show is about is if we had not stopped going to the moon back in 1969 and we had a whole space program up there, and if the Russians had gotten there first, like what would we have done? And it also talks about building a space station on the moon and what that would entail. Anyway, I found it to be really fascinating. This article was fascinating. It was weird that it was underneath the other one, Apple being the sign for certain and knowledge and all this other kind of stuff. This may be nothing. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of strange, interesting, and a little bit creepy that all my pictures were wiped out. Right, that I found all my pictures were wiped out on the eve of November 3rd. Anyway, stay strong, everybody. Hopefully it's not a thing, but I did want to throw in my paltry contribution to this whole speculation that hopefully is not going to come true. All right, that's about all. Peace out.